What is 3 and 3?
6.
But if you think for a second, does and has to be add? It could be 9, it could be 27, it could be 0, it could be 1. But do we have to stay in the math world? A nephew of mine came and told me 3 and 3 is a stronger 3 because his mom makes him write 3 over and over again. Another little kid came and told me that 3 and 3 could be 8, 3 going on 2 different directions. And then a chef friend of mine listened to this whole thing, came back and said some permutation or combination number. That if there were 3 ingredients and 3, you take them, and says 3 and 3 is millions. She says different amounts of different ingredients, different order makes it infinite. So now I look at, my nephew said 3 and 3 coming from both directions is 8. I flipped it. They come from top and bottom, infinity. A simple question changes your mind on opportunities.
Today I'm here with Arjun Sen, who spent the past 25 years helping brands like Papa John's, Smashburger, and Walgreens to find their positioning and scale. Thank you for joining us today.
Truly a pleasure. Absolutely, Jana.
So I'd love to just dive into it. And can you take me to a moment in your life where you made a decision that changed the trajectory you were on?
First of all, the decision was made for me because sometimes things happen which is not in your radar. Life was going great, corporate world accelerating like crazy. There was attitude, different amount of arrogance, me. And that's the time, on a September day in 1996, I was 34 years old, I think, 32. When just in a meeting, I started throwing up blood. And from there, I'm in a hospital in Denver, Colorado. After 2 days, doctors came and told me I have 2 forms of cancer. And I was not understanding the seriousness because to me, I just saw cancer only in movies, not on this side of the world. And that's when my doctors explained to me that most probably you would not see Christmas this year. And I did the math. The math was very scary. If I include Christmas Day, it's 97 days. If I don't, 96. And that's the part where it was like a sky falling down moment came and hit me. Totally unprepared. Like if you asked me 5 days back, Arjun, I'll give you $1 million, $1 billion for the biggest problem you could ever fix. I would have never, ever guessed it, but things happen. And that's where my goal was just to leave. And corporate world had just prepared me to do one thing was if you're in a crisis, don't let it define you. Just get out to fight another day. Like another day, something could happen. If I throw in the towel. And to me, it was maybe humor or something like that. I went and asked my doctors, hey, I will start treatment today. Sign on a piece of paper, a contract that I'll see Christmas this year. Of course, they wouldn't. And then I dropped this line I'm so proud of. Clint Eastwood will steal this line, so it is copyrighted, is I told him with a little attitude, in that case, I'm not paying your darn bills. Good luck collecting from a dead man. I felt so proud, like even on a darkest of day, having this micro win. When I got into the car with my friend driving me home, till I fell asleep in the car, I just kept repeating, I just delivered that line. That became the big micro win on a day everything seemed lost.
Wow. And what was, I guess, your frame of mind in that moment? Like you're talking about you had this little win, but I assume that at some point the weight of everything came crashing down on you of what the reality was.
The only way to describe is 100% darkness. Just imagine you're traveling on a business trip. You wake up in the middle of the night. You are in this dark hotel room. You don't even remember which city you are in. It's so dark you can feel like that's where it was. Like literally, my life was so dark the next 2 days. And I was not making any effort to bring light in. Like I remember vaguely now that the only thing I saw was when I would sit on the floor in front of the fridge, open the fridge, and get a frozen pizza, refrigerated pizza out and take a bite out. That's the only light. And literally, figuratively, I have never faced that kind of darkness. It's like a numbness. It's like a deer in front of a headlight. Like, I don't know what to do, but just hung in there. I just felt just hang in there. Something could happen.
So you didn't know what to do. So how did you evaluate your options at that point?
The magic of life is when you give up or you don't think you have a path, there's at least one other person on the planet who hasn't given up in you. And that's one of the things I felt is you have to keep the door open. So my daughter was 3.5, 4 years old. She comes in. She had heard about this from her mom. She just shook her head by saying, "What have you done to the house? Why is it so dark?" The little girl goes to the couch, climbs the couch to open the lights, and finally she takes me out to the backyard. And we sat there, and and that's the innocence of a child. She hit me straight with three questions. What is death? Like, I was not prepared to answer death to a 4-year-old. Okay? I just gave a very philosophical answer that when I talk to you, you can hear. When you talk to me, I can hear. But in death, I can hear. But when I'm talking, you can't. Like, she's like, whatever. Okay. Then her second question was, are you dying? And I lied. I said, no. Because I just felt that, I can't answer that. But then was the main question. If you die, Dad, who will dance at my wedding? And I realized that is the core of what her problem was. She just came back from some Indian wedding, mega wedding, seeing the bride and the dad. That's the cool part of a wedding. And that's the part where I realized that, I found my purpose. Like, I am facing a life ending situation, end over. For her, life starting situation. And I have a tiny role to play. And that's the part where I felt I need to put effort. Okay. So that day when she left, I kept thinking the reason I don't see a path is I'm asking the wrong question. I was
Mhm.
asking myself, doctors said cancer less than 100 days, and I'm hitting my head by saying, Arjun, can you cure yourself and get 101 days? Impossible. But the moment I reframed the question by saying, Arjun, two steps, slow down. Is there a doctor or hospital somewhere in the planet who may have a better option? Yes. Can you make best effort to find that person? Yes, I can. And that's it. And Jana, the moment it framework changed and I started sharing with my friends then, instead of it being a life ending, it became a life opening opportunity. And my house became a medical records distribution center. Again, this is 1996. Internet is not there. And I was just the person bringing tea, coffee, snacks to all my friends. They were creating packages, sending. There was a whiteboard that appeared magically. And every day, my friends after work will come in and we would try to see what's going on. And finally, one of the hospitals in New York sent a plan. We loved the plan. And that was the best plan because that's the only plan we had. And that's it. But the reframing of the question was very important.
So when you were, I guess, in that moment of reframing the question, you had a couple of options or maybe three options. You could do nothing and accept it. You could, as you said, reframe the question and try to find the best medical doctors out there. And I guess, was that goal, so this will be a two-part question, was that goal to just extend your life one more day, and the days add up? And then, sorry, because it is a multi-part question. And the third question was, was there another option besides those two?
That was literally the option was to me. What I realized was in life, many a time, business world, we set a goal, we try to find the perfect solution to get to that goal. If not, I realized with a lack of time, only thing I could go was better option, which is an option that gets me more days. That means it'll give me more chance to go through. So to me, this was the part where that's what I kept looking at is, and the cool part about the less than 100 days made me appreciate is the very fact 2 days back, I never thought of a concept of looking at life to be less than 100. And all of us, one day in our life, hopefully we are 90, there will be a day we have less than 100 days to live. Fortunately, we don't know that. Okay, we live differently. It made me appreciate that life is not measured by number of days. Life is measured
Mm.
by what you do and the effort you make to appreciate every day. Like once I started going through, to me, the whole thing changed by saying, even if it is less than 100 days, I really want to live in 100 days, not in the darkness of the last 2 days. I want to live in effort I want to put in with people around. And I call that my unquit circle. That's the true
Mhm.
resource in life is when you stop believing in yourself, who all come running in and says, Arjun, we got you. And that is the power of life I felt is you are me, we all will fall in life. How fast we get up using their help is our superpower. And that was the part where, there was nothing magical about a long-term solution. It's a longer was the bigger part is every extra day would matter. And let's see what happens.
And so when you were in that moment, obviously your life was at stake, but what else? What else were you thinking about when you obviously you mentioned your daughter and she became the purpose or the moment you pivoted. But what else was at stake for you?
To me, once life gets in stake, everything falls in, it becomes at stake. Very soon I realized those days insurance wouldn't cover, which means I had to get close to, I think, $5,000 cash to get that New York option activated. And I don't
Mm.
blame them for getting me to prepay for the solution, because let's not go there. But that was the right business plan for those guys. What I found is, once you have clear goals, a better solution, find 145,000. Life is not cruel. Life finds a way to get you there. Okay. But I really have found that if you have to have the clear goal and want to try to find it bad, $15,000 short. And I tried every possible thing. There was no other path. Like, no means no. And I refused to borrow money from my close friends. Like, I felt if this does not work, that's not the way I want to leave the planet, because these people, they don't have that extra money to pay. The CEO of the company I was working, who did not know me, called me to a random meeting. He prayed, and he said his wife and myself thought about me, prayed, and put in front of me an envelope with a check for exactly $15,000. And I cried. I told him. He said, "Why did you not come to me?" But the money wasn't the lesson. Money wasn't the gift alone. The gift was what he told me after. So I told him, "Sir, I cannot take the money because I don't know whether I can repay you or not." So he looked at me and he said, "Arjun, I have a lot more money. I can give it to you because I can live without this money. You don't have to pay me, but you have to do me something because you owe me. What you will do is you will pass this forward in cash or kind to somebody else. You paying back to me who doesn't need the money does not work. But through you, if I can reach somebody else, and that's the concept of life, is you don't have to be unstoppable yourself. When you get the help, you start looking, who can I help next? And that good pyramid scheme of life, how you start taking what you have gone through to others. And that was the big gift that he gave. But again, I just feel magic keeps happening when you have a goal, but you have to want it so bad. So the concept of unquit, or anything you want to call it, is right here. The moment you give up, I think life also realizes, why waste energy on this person who has given up already. Life chooses those who keep going.
So one of the principles that we often learn is when pursuing goals, simplicity is best, right? If you have too many simultaneous goals, you have divided focus, and the likelihood of you hitting any one of them decreases. So when you were focusing on your health and getting past the 96, 97 days, were you all in on that, or were you working, or how did you manage the rest of life?
So there are two parts to your question. One is, initially, from darkness, I went into hope. Hope still means there's doubt. And the journey to me has to be doubt free. And for it to be doubt free, you have to see yourself on the other side. The thing you talked about, simple, is very important, because I have found when simple wisdom comes to you and it resonates, you can't ignore it. I remember when I was in New York, this most amazing nurse in my life, Nancy, one day takes me on a wheelchair on a beautiful view and says, "Arjun, once we give your life back," amazing attitude, confidence, "what will you do?" I didn't understand. And she said, "Till you can see that, you won't get there." So in the moment, I told her three things without thinking. I will write a book, I will work for a nonprofit, and I'll run a race. She said, "How long?" I said, 5K. She starts laughing that your life is worth only 5K. I changed it to half a marathon. But what changed was, next day when Nancy takes me to a group of doctors, earlier these doctors used to look at my report as dead man Arjun. Okay. Nancy paused them by saying, "Let me introduce you to cancer winner Arjun." Beautiful word. Survivor means life is over. The only thing is survived. Winner means there's more ahead. Cancer winner Arjun, future author, future philanthropist, and future half marathoner. I love that Arjun, Jana. I want to be that Arjun. Like, I wanted to run to that Arjun. And that's the part where that simplicity, like many a time, if the goal was net worth this, no, it was a very simple thing, which if you were my sister, you woke me up in the middle of my night, "Arjun, goal," I would just tell you, it's right away. Simplicity etches in the heart. And that's the power of a simple goal, becomes very, very important as you start going through. And the thing that also I realized is everything in life is connected, because the very fact I had bet so heavily on the health side, relationships, there were some challenges, of course, that is there, was going through my divorce. I lost my job and bigger problems came in front. And if this was bad enough, on March 4th of 2 years from there, when I felt I don't have the money to go forward anymore, I was this close to ending my life. because I faced a second time a bigger challenge. As you talked about, now all paths were going to darkness. But again, that day, a simple wisdom from that same Nance nurse came and changed my life. And that to me, I feel is the biggest wisdom I've ever received is she helped me understand and said, Arjun, I'm not saying diluting or diminishing your challenge. I know the headwind is very strong. But when the headwind is that strong, if you find just enough energy to take a U turn, the headwind becomes your tailwind and there's no stopping you. Can you take a U turn, Arjun? Yes, I can. And that's the core thing, Jana. If you look at in whether when I first have cancer or that day, if you can rephrase to a question, and the answer is you have to ask the question, as you said, simple. It has to be such a simple question that the
Mm.
answer is yes, I can. I come over to visit your family. I'm thirsty. I said, Jana, can I have a glass of water? Yes, I can, Arjun. Asking that simple question, the answer you know is 100% yes, I can.
Mm.
Changed everything. So to me, that's the part where I realized that life gets complicated and the dimensions change. Like sometimes life realizes, "Oh, this person crossed level 4, put him on level 8. Yes, I can. Because unstoppable is not one day.
Mm.
Unstoppable means your momentum, you have a reputation. There's one day everything will stop. We all know that. We don't go there. But till that day, we have to live an unstoppable life.
Right. Well, and so did you find, other than that moment, were you fully committed to the decision, or did you ever question the decision that you made?
There were doubts. Absolutely. We are human beings.
Mm.
And every time there's a doubt, I right away lock in by saying, let me take one more step, one more step. My mantra in life became, yeah, I have every right to quit, but I will quit 2 steps from now, not now. Like to the point where eventually I fulfilled my commitment of running a marathon. A night before the marathon, I did the math. Math to me is my worst strength because it messes me up. Okay.
Mm.
I did the math that me being not a fast runner, it takes me 2,500 steps for a mile. 2,500 times 26.2 is 65,500 steps. Impossible. Won't happen. But then I told myself, okay, but can you take one step? Can you commit to taking that one step and quit on the next step? I finished in 6 hours, 14 minutes, taking one step at a time. And that's the part where I realized that knowing we are human beings, accepting doubt will creep in, but somehow, somewhere, the commitment to a small something, which is I can, is all you need. Quit tomorrow. You can quit day after. Beautiful day to quit. Like I'm telling you, the stars are aligned to quit 2 days from now. Let me at least not quit today. That's it. That makes it human. And that to me is the difference between a superhero movie and here is superhero movies, they win the whole battle today. I would bet
Mhm.
on an unstoppable unquitter every day because they lose the battles to win the war.
Well, yeah, I think you're exactly right. I mean, the biggest difference between successful people and unsuccessful is whether or not you quit. Usually success is just around one more challenge.
Yeah. And dimension of success changes with
Mhm.
perspective, different opportunities open up. Like till you take that next turn, you do not know what road opportunities are there in front.
Mhm. I wanna talk a little bit about, the decision, because you said something that was really important, that you reframed the question. Is that something that you normally did when facing big questions? Did you change perspective, or was this something unique? And if it was, what prompted that?
You're asking a very serious question. I'll trivialize this, pardon me for that. When I was born, I was named Arjun, and Arjun is a name of a mythological figure in India. So I asked
Mm.
my grandma. Arjun in Sanskrit means one and only. I thought grandma named me because I'm one and only, cool, brilliant, blah, blah, blah. Grandma told me, we brought you back home, you opened your eyes, looked at me, I was charmed. Didn't look like a very smart, very intelligent eyes. Okay? But you had questioning eyes. And in Indian scriptures, there's a moment where Krishna and Arjun, they're in between these two armies. There's this big war of all wars will happen. Arjun paused. He asked Krishna to take the chariot in between both and ask questions. Why are we fighting? Like Arjun asked questions, and Krishna's answer became the Bhagavad Gita, the message of all times. So what my grandma taught me was, you will always ask questions. So Jana, think, if you and I in a business meeting, you are very smart, all I have to do is ask a question. The other
Mm.
smart minds cannot go to sleep with unanswered questions. And that's one of the things I have realized, that some of us don't have to have the superpower of answering questions. To me, my superpower is ask a question, and for myself, I make easier questions, which I can say I can. But looking at that to be a superpower and connecting to what you said, simplify, simplify, simplify. Very simple question. Is there a hospital there? Yes, there is. Can you make best effort? Yes, I can. Can you
Mm.
take one step? Yes, I can. Like asking simple questions and reframe.
And so between that and then you also highlighted the principle of taking one more step, right? Just always one more step. You can quit in two steps, but not this next step. How have those changed the way you approach high stake decisions today?
You look at life very differently. You just look at life when I put the September day and March 4th, when everything could be lost, you get more detached. And when you get more detached, you attach to the end better. Being calm, being unemotional. Like one of the things I have put a few mantras in my life are in any situation, knowing that I can take a step, I'm not going to react. I'm just going to pause, and act. It's like a unlimited time chess. The very fact you have put a move in, I don't have to put my move. I will take my time. I won't go back to the past to change my past. I'm grateful to Arjun yesterday for bringing me here. I only go to the past to learn and bring celebration. That's it. Why waste time beating up on that Arjun who got me here? I'm talking to you because of Arjun yesterday got me here. This Arjun will take me to Arjun tomorrow. So let's be kind.
Mm.
So to me, I think I replay those situations in my life in anything by saying, wow, coming from level 15, now I'm at a level 1. I got this one. And I think once you have this, got this one, but it's always exactly the same as reframing the question. I'll give you a very business example was a client
Mhm.
of mine recently invited me to solve their sales problem. Okay? We could have made some good money by solving the problem, but I just felt it's wrong that day. So I started having a deja vu by saying how many times these same people with a different consultant meet in the same room solving sales problems. So I asked that question to the CEO by saying, do you guys meet here often? They said, yeah, every 3 to 6 months we have a sales problem. I said, do you realize that you don't solve the problem? You put a band-aid, the band-aid goes off, you get a different consultant.
Mm.
So I said, maybe the question is different. You don't have a sales problem. You have a culture problem. You have the wrong people, the wrong plan, wrong process. With those four, even if I give you a different, amazing plan of all, it won't work. And that to me is connecting it to the business world, knowing fully well that if I don't make this money, life will be okay. But the moment I reframe, and that to me was a layman's question, a 5-year-old's question, that rephrases and it takes you to a different world. And I just think that to me is very, very important to look at that in any life situation. There is something bigger you can do with that unstoppable heart.
So if you were to if someone was coming to you with a high stakes problem, is there steps you would take to help them reframe the question?
Yeah. And I would first ask the person by saying, let's first pause and figure out why did this problem choose you? You must have been the most qualified person here. Like if I worked for you and you gave me the most difficult, coveted project, I should not go out by saying, boss gave me this. I will go dancing outside that boss gave me this because I am the chosen one. Okay. It's the mindset that life is not unkind. When life gives you something, there is a path.
Mm.
You will find it. There's no best path. Okay? But that's the part where if you start pausing and looking at it at different angles, and then what is the first step? You have to take one step. Even if that step doesn't take you anywhere, it will give you a different perspective. And that's the part where if you pause for a second by saying, I'm not alone, let me call, who do I call? Let me build my team. Because anything you do to invest, instead of sitting there just like this and saying, darkness, nothing will happen, it's over. Knowing that there is a path, believing that it will be me. And the coolest part is, Jana, the moment you feel one day, 30 years from now, I'll sit in front of Jana Axline to tell the story. It will happen.
Mm.
Think, Jana. And that's the part where if you came to me, I would also say, Jana, let's pause for a second. There have been other problems that have Jana has faced. But
Mhm.
Jana today is sitting in front of me, unstoppable Jana, because nothing has stopped. Let's just celebrate that Jana for a second because instead of getting overwhelmed by Jana's problem today, if you look at the resume of unstoppable Jana that brought Jana's present in front of us, it changes. It changes.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit on a really good point. A lot of us don't take time to look back and reflect at how far we've really come. Instead, we're looking at the mountain that we're still trying to climb.
That's one. And the second is if adversity right away came and knocked at my door, and I just said pause because I'm in charge till adversity comes and gets me. And then I introduce to adversity my unquit circle, all the people in my life. And then I say, do you still want to mess with me? Because that's the strength. The strength is right here. Whether I want to stop or not stop is decided here. And that decision is a choice. Like to me, at the end, in when I talk about unquit, I talk about unquit now is a choice. It's not forced upon us. And that, I think, knowing I have a choice is very, very powerful. I was at Grand Canyon a few years back. I just couldn't believe it's a river, tiny Colorado River at times. That's the power of the river to create the world's biggest canyon. If we went to the Colorado River billions of years, I don't know, millions of years back by saying this is what you can, the river would have freaked out that you are here to create the world's biggest canyon. No, it doesn't work that way. The river flew, river went, kept flowing, and the world's biggest canyon happened.
It's very true. I want to, I guess, deviate just a little bit because I'm really thankful that you're here talking with me today. And we've been connected, what now, for 5 years or something, and so periodically, business brings us back together. And you're the one who actually planted the seed of the phrase "unstoppable," and that seed is what you know caused this podcast to come into fruition. Would just love to hear, you know, your reflections on that unstoppable moment and what brought that to mind.
So to me, I really feel it is you. I was a mirror in front of you. When I started looking at you that day and I started learning about your story, a lot of people in the world, there are people who are of three groups. One of many, you ignore; one of few, you notice them and you ignore. Then they're one of one. One of one to me is not just a professional skill. You are brilliant professionally. Everything you were doing was amazing. But what I saw was unstoppable to me is when somebody is marching forward through success, realizes this is not my heart wants. That person pulls over, stops to be unstoppable. Then the person course corrects, may have lost a lot of equity in that journey to go and do what she's meant to do. That moment that you talked about, with age, I'm forgetting a lot of details and I'm not going into it. That really etched into my mind by saying, I want to be like Jana. Okay. And that's the unstoppable part, is that we all the time may not be on the right path. But instead of living your whole life and at the end of the last day of your life saying, you know what, I wish I didn't do that. No, you have the power to pause, stop, course correct, in control, to be unstoppable, because unstoppable to me is what you did on that course correction. And that was the part where, and what I realized was, if somebody who has that kind of power and control to pause her life and redirect, I'm not betting against that person. And that to me is unstoppable, and you're an average human person, but the skill is superhuman. And that is what unstoppable is. And I right away stole that, etched it in my mind by saying, I want to do that. And there's a lot of dimensions: being aware, taking actions, not blaming others. You could have done all these things, but unstoppable to me is owning the path I'm in, owning the pause, owning the redirect, and then accelerate. It's you.
No,
I just experienced it.
I really appreciate it, and I appreciate, I've told you this personally, but how much you reframe concepts and just help me look at things in a different way. Just like we've been talking about today, you've done that for me multiple times throughout the time that I've known you, and that's helped me see what different paths could be taken at each moment.
I
So I
will, for
appreciate that.
you and the audience, build on what you just said and give everybody a question. So, Jana, I'm going to also ask you the question. The moment I ask you the question, you have to tell
Mm,
me the first answer that comes to your mind. Ready?
okay.
What is 3 and 3?
6.
Okay. But if you think for a second, does and has to be add? If we stay in the math
Mm,
world, it could be 9, it could be 27, it could be 0, it could be 1.
mm,
But do we have to stay in the math world? A nephew of mine came and told me 3 and 3 is a stronger 3 because his mom makes him write 3 over and over again. Another little kid came and told me that 3 and 3 could be 8. 3
mm,
coming in two different directions. And then a chef friend of mine listened to this whole thing, came back and said some permutation or combination number. That if there were 3 ingredients and 3, you take them. Years later, she comes back and says 3 and 3 is millions, infinite. I'm like, how did you get to infinite? She says different amounts of different ingredients, different order makes it infinite. And I really felt so wowed by her that
mm.
I wanted to make my contribution to 3 and 3, combining all these. So now I look at, my nephew said 3 and 3 coming from both directions is 8. I flipped it. They come from top and bottom, infinity.
Mhm, mm.
See, a simple question changes your mind on opportunities.
Wow. Well, on that, I mean, I think it's been a really powerful conversation about the significance that reframing can have. Arjun, I'd love for you to share how people can find out more what you do and follow your work. Where can they go for that?
So they can go to arjunsen.com, and that's the part. And there's also a URL unquit.com, but arjunsen.com where people can come. And if anybody wants to share their unquit stories, it'll warm my heart.
And we should say, though, that this decision, this moment that you faced, was also turned into a movie that can be found on Amazon Prime.
Yeah. And the name of the movie is I Want to Talk. And to me, it is a Hindi movie with 80%, 75% is English with subtitles. And it has won equivalent of Oscar in India. And the coolest part is when the movie first came to my life, it took me a while to appreciate the movie because I still don't see a movie in my life. But then I figured it out. I figured it out that I am the baton of a relay race. Different people run the legs. Those are the cool people in my life. As long as they don't drop the baton, they win. I'm on top of the podium when they hold the baton. And that's what this movie to me is about, celebrating all the cool people in my life who didn't give up.
It was a really powerful movie. But yeah, so I highly recommend it. And Arjun, I just want to say thank you so much for being here today.
And thank you. It's truly my honor. Thank you. And wish you the very best in your
Thank
unstoppable
you.
journey.
Thank you. And to our audience, make the decision, act on it, be accountable, and until next time, stay unstoppable.